Why do we love Superman? Is it because he's immensely powerful? Because he stands for the American dream? Because he exceeds his stories as an icon? A symbol? Well, perhaps yes, but most of all, it's because he's good. According to comic critic Tegan O'Neill, that's the greatest superpower of his ability to always do good, no matter what. It shows us that humans can be right and good ourselves, a perfect inspiration to look up to strive for, despite never actually being able to be that good. So, all things considered, why do we love evil Superman stories so much? Superman becomes more human, more like us. He's not perfect, he makes rash decisions, some of which, influenced by what he's capable of and the fact that he is unstoppable, can cause grand-scale turmoil and trouble. So today we are taking a look at some of the most intense versions of the sinister takes on the Man of Steel outside of DC's comics, with our list of the top 10 scariest alternate Superman stories. We'll be covering alternate Superman comics from an array of publishers, all of which aim to take the idea and the character of Superman, twist it on its head, and give us something we can't look away from. So let's get to it. In at number 10, Supreme from Image Comics. Supreme is a character created by Deadpool creator Rob Liefeld, and is an egotistical, violent kind of Superman. When he first came to be, the character was an angel of vengeance who quoted the Bible, but has since more commonly seen himself as a god rather than following one. His origin plays out like this. In 1937, a man named Ethan Crane went to jail when he killed 2 men in retaliation for the rape of a 15-year-old girl. In jail, he's offered a chance to participate in an experimental process. Of course, he died like all of the rest. He woke up in a strange world, discovering he had new abilities. All in all, he was less of a menace and more of an asshole. Alan Moore would later reinvent the character altogether, noting that he felt the character in its initial iteration was, I quote, not very good. Moving on to number 9, Gladiator from Marvel Comics and Philip Wiley. Let's take a look at a character from Marvel Comics, Gladiator, otherwise known as Kalar, who was created by Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum as an homage to DC's Legion of Superheroes. Now, compared to many of the other superheroes on this list, he isn't a baddie per se. Although a few times he found himself up against the heroes of Earth, who at one point believed him to be a Skrull. He's fought the likes of Thor and X-Men member Cannonball. And fun fact, the name Gladiator actually comes from the Philip Wiley novel Gladiator from 1930, the novel that Superman, the real one, was partially based on. That novel is really more of a horror story when it comes to the Superman archetype. In it, a scientist invents an alkaline-free radical serum to improve mankind, granting Superman-esque powers to people who take it. His son has been given the serum, and he hides his abilities for most of the duration of the narrative. Moving on to number 8, Count NEFARIA from Marvel. Count NEFARIA is a Marvel villain, a foe of the Avengers who first appeared in Avengers issue 13 back in 1965. He's a wealthy Italian aristocrat who seeks power. He's got an interesting rap sheet. He paralyzed Captain America, he's attempted to take control of the US NORAD base, he's responsible for killing X-Men member Thunderbird, and is just overall no bueno. But here's the thing, he's mortal up until he ends up teaming up with one of Baron Zemo's scientists, who turn him into a being with the combined strength of various villains, amplified 100-fold. He's one of the physically strongest beings in the Marvel Universe, and can even resist the attacks of someone as powerful as Thor, who threw Mjolnir at him with no avail. What else can he do? Well, he is immortal, invulnerable, can fly, has superhuman strength, speed, endurance, agility, stamina, senses, and reflexes. He can heal, he can manipulate ionic energy, can create constructs, teleport, is basically an energy vampire, and on top of all that, he's a genius who is charming as fuck. Moving on to 7, Invincible. Robert Kirkman's Invincible features a Superman-esque character named Omni-Man. The title character Invincible is an alien superhero who is the son of Omni-Man, who inherited his dad's abilities, using them to protect the Earth. Omni-Man is considered to be Earth's greatest superhero and arguably fits the bill when it comes to being an anti-hero and supervillain as well. Omni-Man came to Earth in the 1980s, initially being sent to conquer the planet for his home race of the Viltrumites, something he lied about since he claimed he was there to help advance human technology and protect the planet from galactic dangers. After the truth comes out, he beats the crap out of his son, pretty much leaving him for dead. The Viltrumites at one point capture him for failing on Earth. He is held for execution but is later saved, and by the end of the series ends up becoming the ruler of the Viltrumite Empire. Not too shabby. And at 6, Superior. Superior is a series created by Mark Millar and Leinell Francis Yu for Marvel-owned Icon Comics. It's the tale of a bitter 12-year-old boy named Simon who has multiple sclerosis, and gets granted a single magic wish by an alien monkey named Ormond. He wishes to be transformed into the superhero he idolizes, Superior. Turns out that the alien monkey is actually a demon incarnate, and in order for Simon to remain as superior, he needs to sell his soul to the devil. That's not all either. The demon approaches a bully of Simon's, offers him the chance of being Superior's fictional nemesis, Abarax, if he pledges himself to Satan. So of course the bully says yes and starts tormenting the city. Simon then must choose between saving the planet from Abarax or keep his soul. Simon ends up defeating Ormond and Abarax, with Ormond failing to collect his soul thanks to Superior being immortal. Ormond is dragged back to hell for failing, and Simon returns to his regular body, with the world believing that Superior was killed in battle. In number 5, Hyperion from Marvel. Hyperion was literally created in the image of Superman. He first appeared in the Avengers issue 69 as a member of the group called the Squadron Sinister, an evil team that parodied DC's Justice League, with Hyperion being a stand-in for the Man of Steel. Another version of Hyperion would appear 2 years later in the Avengers, with a heroic team called the Squadron Supreme that caused a lot of confusion, as you can imagine. 2 more iterations of the character were published, with the newest appearing in the Avengers Volume 5 Issue 1, hailing from another universe. Let's take a look at the version of Hyperion from Earth 712 though. He's the last known Eternal left on his Earth. He ends up getting trapped in an interdimensional zone and is impersonated by the Squadron Sinister version of himself, who he then fights to the death. While he walks away from that battle, he ends up going blind from his injuries though, so that's fun. And at 4, Brightburn. One of the most recent Superman-inspired stories to be released is the James Gunn-produced Brightburn, which tells the tale of a superpowered alien with the same origin as DC's Man of Steel, except he begins to see humans as inferior. Brightburn takes place at a pivotal moment in the life of Brandon, our superpowered protagonist. When he turns 12, he hits puberty, a time in which, in Kal-El and Kent's case in the comics, was when Clark learned to not see himself as superior to everyone else. Instead, Brandon's parents end up telling him he's special, that it's okay to indulge every now and then. While it is in the context of the things that good parents would tell their children growing up, their child is no regular child, and in the scope of his abilities, his logic is objective. There's no reason that he shouldn't be seen as superior. He becomes a sociopath. It's a different, more violent and gory take on the Superman origin story, one that is way more of a horror film than a superhero movie. Moving on to number 3, The Homelander from The Boys. The Boys is a series from 2006 from Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson that followed a superpowered CIA squad known as the Boys, who were in charge of monitoring the superhero community. There's an Amazon Prime adaptation of it coming out. The world of The Boys depicts superheroes corrupted by their celebrity status, leading to potential safety hazards when they engage in reckless behavior. The Homelander is a superhero whose public origin story is similar to Superman's, but in reality he was grown in a lab owned by corporation Vought America, and his childhood was wrought with tragedy. He's entitled, a megalomaniac, has committed mass murder and rape, is only kept in line by Vought America's financial support. He's a part of the hedonistic superhero group called the Seven, which is similar to the Justice League, and the Seven are known for being particularly bad. And at number 2, Irredeemable. Irredeemable is the tale of the Plutonian, considered the world's greatest superhero, who takes a turn for the worst and begins killing innocent people. Well, whole populations really. He's killed millions. The concept behind Irredeemable is what would happen if you went from someone like Superman to someone like Lex Luthor. What is that process like? What path does a character need to go down to become a villain? The Plutonian is exactly that. Volume 1 sees him slaughtering not only his superpowered allies, but destroying a whole city, lobotomizing his former sidekick, and he also sinks Singapore into the ocean. We later find out that the reason he's turned evil is because of his involvement with a virus responsible for killing hundreds of children. He attempts to conceal his involvement, growing resentful towards humans, and then snaps when his sidekick discovers the truth. The story follows the rest of those superheroes trying to figure out a way to stop Plutonian's rampage, which only gets worse and worse. And finally, in at number 1, the OG bad Superman story itself, The Reign of Superman from 1933. Before Superman came to be in 1938 in Action Comics issue 1, another Superman created by Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel was published in Siegel's self-published science fiction magazine, and it was called The Reign of the Superman. It followed the story of an impoverished man named Bill Dunn, who is tricked by an evil scientist to take an experimental drug that then gives him a plethora of superpowers: mind control, mind reading, and clairvoyance. He ends up using his powers for his benefit, making a profit, until the drug wears off and makes him powerless once again. There wasn't much in common between this Superman and their later Man of Steel. He was a telepathic villain, but he has immense power that he ends up using to attempt to rule the world. Alright, there we have it, friends. What scary alternate Superman stories freaked you out the most, and why? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know. If you dug this video, spread the love, hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for more lists just like this one. In the meantime though, thank you for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next video.